In this presentation, we will take a closer look at how meteorologists summarize all of the information needed to report weather conditions in specific locations. We will also identify examples of severe weather and their causes. Meteorologists develop weather station models to allow atmospheric data to be plotted in a condensed and usable format. Temperature will be displayed at the top left of the model and given in degrees Fahrenheit. Dew point will be located directly below temperature in the bottom left and is also given in degrees Fahrenheit. Wind direction will be illustrated by a staff that is rotated around the station. Remember that winds are identified as the direction they are blowing from. Attached to the staff are symbols representing wind speed and can be generalized as half a staff is about 5 miles per hour and a full staff is about 10 miles per hour. A solid triangle is equal to about 50 miles per hour. These will all be added together for the total wind speed, much like Roman numerals. Barometric pressure will be given in the top right. This is very important. Remember that the average air pressure is 1013.25 millibars. You don't have a lot of room on your weather station model. They will not print the beginning number or numbers. They also do not print the decimal point, but will report to the nearest tenth. Cloud coverage will be illustrated by the shading inside the model itself. A front is simply the boundary between two air masses. Fronts are classified by which type of air mass, cold or warm, is replacing the other. Generally, cold fronts move faster than warm fronts. Sometimes in a storm system, the cold front will catch up to the warm front. An occluded front forms as the cold air behind the cold front meets the cold air ahead of the warm front. Whichever air mass is the coldest undercuts the other. Occluded fronts are represented on weather maps by a solid purple line with alternating triangles and semicircles pointing in the direction of its movement. A stationary front is a front that is not moving. Although the frontal boundary does not move, the air masses may move parallel to the boundary. Stationary fronts can also produce significant weather and are often tied to flooding events. Stationary fronts are represented by a weather map by alternating red and blue lines, with blue triangles and red semicircles facing opposite directions. A front is called a cold front if the air mass is replacing the warm air mass. The air behind a cold front is colder and typically drier than the air ahead of it, which is generally warm and moist. There is typically a shift in wind direction as the front passes, along with a change in pressure tendency. Cold fronts have a steep slope which causes air to be forced upward along the leading edge. This is why there is sometimes a band of showers and/or thunderstorms that line up along the leading edge of the cold front. Cold fronts are represented on a weather map by a solid blue line with triangles pointing in the direction of its movement. A warm front occurs when a cold air mass is receding. For example, a warm air mass is replacing a cold air mass. The air behind a warm front is warm and moist, while the air ahead of the warm front is cooler and less moist. Similar to the cold front, there is a shift in wind direction as the front passes and a change in pressure tendency. Warm fronts have a more gentle slope than cold fronts, which often leads to a gradual rise of air. This gradual rise of air favors the development of widespread continuous precipitation, which often occurs along and ahead of the front. Warm fronts are represented on a weather map by a solid red line with semicircles pointing in the direction of its movement. Storms are defined as violent disturbances in the upper atmosphere, typically as a result of colliding fronts. Thunderstorms are a result of cumulonimbus clouds forming when a cold front moves in and meets a warm front. These storms can include heavy rainstorms with thunder and lightning. When electrical charges build up in the storm clouds, a sudden spark of electricity between two clouds or a cloud in the ground occurs. This is called lightning. The electrical spark heats the air and it expands, which results in thunder. Light waves move faster than sound waves, so you will see lightning before you hear thunder. Hurricanes are cyclones that form over tropical oceans. Hurricanes are called typhoons over the western Pacific Ocean. Warm, moist air rises as cool air moves in, creating the spiral movement. This causes air pressure to drop and more air to move in. The spinning, rising air forms a wall where the center, called an eye, is calm. Most damaging part of a hurricane is the storm surge that leads to flooding. Winds greater than 75 miles per hour and last for days or weeks. The scale to measure hurricanes is called the Saffir-Simpson scale. The intensity and type of storm is going to be based on the wind speed. A storm is typically only determined to be a hurricane once wind speeds are greater than 73 miles per hour. Tornadoes are funnel clouds. They develop in cumulonimbus clouds. There is an extreme low pressure at the bottom of the funnel that can move over land and pull anything in. If a tornado forms over the water, it is called a water spout. Most common in Tornado Alley of the Great Plains during springtime. This is when cool, dry air meets warm, moist air. Tornadoes can have speeds up to 350 miles per hour. They can last minutes and destroy everything in its path. The scale used to measure tornadoes is called the Enhanced Fujita scale. The Enhanced Fujita scale is used to categorize tornadoes based on their strength. The strength of a tornado is dependent upon their wind speed. It is the job of the meteorologist to keep the public informed of approaching severe weather. When they issue a watch for your area, they are letting you know that all the conditions are right for a specific type of severe weather and to be very aware. If they are issuing a warning, severe weather is present in your area and you should take appropriate actions to ensure your safety.